Hydroponics has been repurposed as the nursery for the annelids. Those are the aliens. We see that they're worm-like creatures, probably a young form of the tentacles embedded on the heads of the hybrids that attack you. The young are vulnerable, but as noted, they're quite toxic, even to those who have been taken over by the many. That's where the cyborg midwives come in. The majority of the body is replaced with a cyborg chassis, but the mind is left intact, but clearly under the control of the many. The use of females only for the midwives is, of course, a game design need of the period. Male and female versions would have demanded an additional skin to be employed on some versions, even though both would follow the same mechanics, and would potentially confuse the player. Hence, the hybrids have a masculine look, and the midwives have a feminine look. The scientist who came up with them began with 16 females, with the idea of maintaining the nurturing instinct within them, but that can probably be put down to prejudice on his part more than anything else, not the least being that the person originally looking out over the young refused to leave even when his own death was imminent, so gender really had nothing to do with it. There was the one woman he mentioned who was in fact a mother, so it could be argued that that predisposed her towards nurturing, but then again, alien worms are a far different matter than a baby. In fact, it's possible that some of the midwives were males before the transformation. We do encounter a hybrid who looks and sounds male, but has an audio file on the person that actually implies they used to be female before becoming a hybrid. So that could be a result of the transformation, emphasizing physical strength in both bone and musculature until, regardless of previous appearance, they look like big, tough hombres. And if that's the case, there's nothing saying the reverse couldn't be done with the midwives. The hybrids and midwives are similar and yet so radically different. Both are humans that undergo a transformation, but the hybrids are done entirely via an invasive biological procedure, while midwives an invasive surgical one. One is pure flesh, the other now mostly machine. While the many claims to reject metal, again we see it as more than willing to embrace that usefulness of the machine. But then again, it often refers to its creator as the machine mother. And so it would be reasonable for it to perhaps continue that in quite a literal sense, to create mechanical mothers over the offspring that are part of the many. The question that must be asked is, to what degree are people who aided the many doing so because of physical intrusion or to the psychic influence? In other words, were any of those who acted in its service doing so without being taken over physically? Could it essentially compel these people to act, in whole or in part, without them being in some way connected to the group mind? Probably not, since it would have been useful to use that against those who opposed it, such as Delacroix or the rogue security forces that she alludes to. But many of the individuals who speak about it do so without the sound that they are being transformed yet. Still, the many has powerful mental abilities. We saw that when our hero was taken into the body of the many. Perhaps that vision was enough for some. Or perhaps our hero's mind couldn't be shaped like the others because of the cybernetic modifications. That this was an attempt to take over that had worked on others but failed to work on him for that reason. The level is again different, this time with the aliens not only patrolling the halls, but altering the environment of the ship. While many of its corridors and rooms look familiar, others are clearly being overrun by the many, so that we are somewhat in their realm and somewhat in our own. This is an attempt to unsettle, one that Silent Hill would employ to far greater effect. Take the normal and make it wrong. The voices reflect this as well. One of those is that of Captain Diego, whose audio file mentions the plan the many has for him, that he will float through the air and strike at their enemies, a foreshadowing of yet another adversary that we haven't directly encountered, though we saw it during the trip through the body of the many. Also, the more direct introduction of the spiders, which again appear as a tease of the adversaries that would come with the next level. Next time, we finally meet up with Polito in Command.